Hey, in this screencast, I want to talk briefly about how to write an argument statement in environmental science. One of our BLCs is communicating understanding, and a big part of communicating understanding, in addition to understanding information, is the ability to communicate that through the writing of an argumentative statement. And it's something you've had to do a lot at KIS if you've been here a while. But I just want to reiterate these ideas again because it's a shame to lose points on your test just because you don't really quite understand how to respond correctly to these prompts. So let's just go here. Okay, so you're going to be asked to write argument statements almost every day in this class, and so most of the prompts provide you with some data. Sometimes they don't, but they usually provide you with some access to data and ask a question about it. So here's an example I've got here. So let's just say over the course of a year, the water temperature in a stream usually varies between 10 degrees and 35 degrees. Would you expect fish species A or B to be more abundant in the stream? And then we're given these two graphs, one of oxygen solubility in response to temperature changes, and one is the fish populations at different oxygen levels. So I have access to data, and I'm asked a question about it, and I'm asked to respond as prompt. So you wouldn't just say like, oh, I expect fish species A. That's not really an argument statement. So you always want to make sure that you follow a certain procedure. And that procedure is the CER method, which I think you're all familiar with. So if you're not, if you're new to KIS and you haven't heard of CER, it's just a really great thing to know about all the way through grad school, to be honest. It's just a great approach to argumentative communication. So you just want to state your claim, what you think the answer is, provide your evidence for this is the evidence I used to make that claim, and then your reasoning is going to be, well, this is what ties it together. Basically, your reasoning is why this is scientifically relevant. So let's give this a try. First thing I want to do is you want to start with a clearly stated claim statement. Okay, so here, in this case, it'd be a perfect one. I would expect fish species A to be more abundant in the stream than fish species B. I just state my claim. This is what I think is true. Here's what you don't want to do, and you've got to break yourself from this habit. Do not start with evidence. That you don't say, well, since the temperature of the stream varied. Nope, that's not a claim. You're giving evidence. You wait and give that second. Also, don't start by disproving the counterclaim. So don't start by going, well, it's not going to be this species, and here's why. You want to just answer the question. The question was, which species would be more abundant? So answer the question. That's what you do with your claim statement. Then you want to present evidence, and you've got to be careful when you present your evidence. You don't want to mix your evidence with your reasoning, which is really easy to do. It's best just to present the evidence, okay? So what evidence led me to say that I thought species A, my claim was species A would be more abundant than species B. So now I'm just going to present you with the evidence without giving you my reasoning. So here is my evidence. Now remember, we were told that the stream temperature varied between 10 and 30 degrees. So I'm going to look at this and I see what their populations are. So here's what I'm just going to reference this data here. So what I would say is, well, since the temperature of the stream varied between 10 degrees and 35 degrees, which is what I was told in the prompt, then I just look here and say, well, the dissolved oxygen levels, therefore, would vary between, it looks like maybe 11 milligrams per liter and maybe 7 milligrams per liter. So that's what I put here. Then I said fish species A, from this graph here, I can see can thrive in DO levels between 4 and 12, while fish species B can only live in water with DO levels between 10 and 16. So I basically just told you this is the evidence that I looked at that was relevant to the prompt. Now I provide my reasoning. So CER. Now I'm going to say the reasoning. The reasoning would be, well, since the DO levels in the stream are usually below what's needed to support species B, but generally at levels which would support species A, I would expect the species A to be more abundant in the stream than species B. So just to tie it all together, the correct response, if you're asked to write an argumentative statement, would be this. I would expect fish species A to be more abundant in the stream than fish species B. Since the temperature of the stream varied between 10 and 35 degrees Celsius, the dissolved oxygen levels would vary between 11 and 7 milligrams per liter. Fish species A can live in water where DO levels are between 4 and 12, while species B can only live in water where the DO levels are between 10 and 16. Since the DO levels in the stream are usually below what is needed to support species B, but generally at levels that would support A, we would expect the species A would be much more abundant in the stream than species B. That's what an argument statement is supposed to look like. It's not that hard to do. You just can't be lazy about it, right? So you've got to understand that even though you might have the right idea, if you're not communicating it, I can't give you full credit on a test, because the BLC that I'm testing would be communicating understanding. Not just do you understand, but can you communicate that understanding? And this is how one does that. Now, sometimes we don't always have evidence that we can refer to. So you can still basically write an argument statement, but you're just going to do it with just the claim and the reasoning, but without the evidence. So again, you just have a clearly stated claim, and then you're going to present the reasoning that allows you to make that claim. And just remember, the reasoning part is where you're basically going to show off that, yes, I have stated the concepts of environmental science, I got a good handle on them, and I'm going to reference them when I'm making my reasoning part of the statement. Okay, well, thanks for watching this. We're going to practice this a lot this year, so by the time you get to your first test, you'll be pretty good at this. Okay, we'll see you on Wednesday.